Greg Ehrenberg here with Adam Scherer, and I hope everybody's enjoying the new year 2022. It's come with a little bit of different stuff as it comes to the NBA injury report. We are starting to see players come back from COVID. We've got Kyrie Irving is going to be making his debut for the Nets. Not today, though, because it's a home game for the Nets, but Wednesday when the Nets are on the road, he's going to be playing against the Pacers. So a lot of stuff to talk about. Do us a favor, like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, when players get added to the injury report, feel free to leave a comment. Any questions you have, ask them below, and I'll be sure to answer those later in the day. But without further ado, Adam, let's start with your Washington Wizards. And we've seen some pretty big stuff from Bradley Beal. He's been forced to play more of a point guard role for Washington as of late because Spencer Dinwiddie, Aaron Holiday, Hotwell Neto, they are all out. Do you think we could continue to see Bradley Beal find this kind of success as a point guard?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's not really other ball handlers on this team. And if you go back to last season when Westbrook was out, Beal still took on a bigger role in terms of both usage and assist percentage than we had seen this year when Dinwiddie was out. So we know that he's capable of it. We just hadn't really seen it happen. But now, no Neto, no Wanamaker, no Holiday. He's likely to be forced into a bigger role again. In the two games since Dinwiddie, or in the two games that Dinwiddie has missed recently, Beal's averaging nearly 20 potential assists per game. So I'm expecting him to continue to see a big role as a facilitator in addition to being the highest usage guy on the team.
The next situation, it's not really an injury, but I felt we really needed to talk about it because of how much it could impact the slate. And that's what's going on with the Houston Rockets, who are a total mess right now. Kevin Porter Jr., who's basically the Antonio Brown of the NBA right now. So last game, the Houston Rockets, Kevin Porter, he just went home at halftime. He was like, screw you guys, I'm going home. And that's what he did. Took his ball, left and went home. Then he got Christian Wood, who didn't start last game. It was a team punishment. And then when the second half rolled around, he just refused to check into the game. He only ends up playing 8 minutes last game. So we haven't seen any news on this. My assumption is there's a pretty good chance that Kevin Porter Jr. and or Christian Wood end up getting suspended for tonight. Just speculation on my part, but playing the what-if game. What happens with the Houston Rockets if Wood and Porter are both suspended today?
Yeah, it would open up a lot, especially in the front court, because we know that Şengün is already out. So my expectation is that you would get as much Daniel Tice as you possibly can. It's a spot where I'm sure they would like him out there to try and deal with Joel Embiid anyway. So, yeah, I mean, if Wood's suspended, I think Tice goes from essentially being a complete non-factor to looking like one of the better value options on the slate. If Porter is suspended, I don't necessarily think that there is as big an impact because you do still have a lot of wings available for Houston. You have Jalen Green back. You have Garrison Matthews back. Eric Gordon is questionable, but I'm assuming he's going to play. You have Jayshawn Tate back. So there's not necessarily one guy that is just stepping up into a much bigger role. Whereas if Wood is not available, I would expect Daniel Tice to become a very good option.
Yeah, I'm going to be really annoyed if Tice ends up being really chalky and has a big game today because he ended up being my most rostered player for the last slate when I thought Christian Wood wasn't in the starting lineup, but wasn't going to play. So it was to me basically the same situation. I'm looking like, oh look, Daniel Tice is going to be like 1% owned, and he's going to be a massive value play. And then the Rockets got blown out. So I'm sure that everybody's going to play him for the same reasons I did last game now.
Right on cue. Kevin Porter Jr. and Christian Wood both suspended.
There we go. Timing. This is the second time that's happened to us on the show. And I guess we don't really have to go back now and try to figure out what's going to happen there because we just kind of laid it out. Daniel Tice, though, probably one of the top value plays on the slate now.
Yeah, I think so. DraftKings power forward and center eligible at 3,500. I would expect that he starts and, barring foul trouble or anything, is playing at least mid-20s, if not more.
Yes, Christian Wood, Kevin Porter Jr., at least just for now, only suspended for today. So there you go. The injury report, breaking news, not necessarily injury news, but certainly impactful lineup news. The next injury to talk about here, and this one's an actual injury, Brandon Ingram is questionable. He's been dealing with Achilles soreness. Looks like he could be back in the lineup. If he's in, do you expect he's going to have any restrictions? And if he is out, who benefits the most? We also have Valanciunas in for the Pelicans.
If he's in, I'm not expecting him to be overly limited. He hasn't played a full game since the 23rd. I think it's likely that you would get something like 30 minutes more so than that he just comes back and plays 37 or 38. But I don't expect it to be like a drastic minutes limit like we saw with Mo Bamba yesterday.
All right, so let's move on to the Detroit Pistons and just a team here that's a lot of players in, a lot of players out. Now we've got Josh Jackson, Saben Lee, Killian Hayes, Trey Lyles, and Cade Cunningham all returning from COVID, while we still have Chris Smith, Frank Jackson, Jeremy Grant, Isaiah Livers, Derek Walton Jr., Isaiah Stewart, Kelly Olynyk, and Corey Joseph out. This team has been a total mess, but been one that's been unavoidable from a DFS standpoint. Like we saw Hamidou Diallo like 40% owned at 7,700 the other day, and he ended up crushing at that price point. Now that we're seeing the Pistons start to get some guys back while some players are also out, is there anything you look at for this team on the road in Milwaukee that still makes you want to roster any of these guys?
I think the most interesting spot to me is who starts at center. We had seen Trey Lyles getting the starts prior to his absence. Luka Garza has been playing a ton of minutes now. If Garza is still in the starting lineup, I'm not too interested in Garza, and I won't be too interested in Lyles. But if Lyles were to get the start, we know that he's a productive player. He's 4,900, so there would be some appeal there. The point guard position is somewhat interesting between Killian Hayes and Saban Lee, where they're both relatively inexpensive. But I think it becomes difficult to get to much with any level of confidence here, because not only do you have Amadou Diallo getting really expensive now on DraftKings at 8,700, Sadiq Bey at 8,500, but then in addition to that, Cade Cunningham's coming back, and he's going to be the highest usage on the team, basically without a doubt. So you're seeing, or you're likely to see, decreased production per minute from guys like Diallo and Bey while their salaries are rising at the same time.
The NBA Injury Report is sponsored by Yahoo, and you guys know about our partnership with Yahoo. If you've not done it already, sign up for Yahoo using the link in the description box below. Head on over to Yahoo, make a deposit, enter a contest, get 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. All of the tools that we have for basically every single DFS sport out there, it is covered under our package. Also, if you use the promo code Yahoo10, you get a $10 credit and an additional $25 when you sign up at Yahoo. That is the promo code Yahoo10. And there are a ton of good DFS contests for NBA and also for NFL every weekend. They're just giving away a ton of overlay. So Yahoo, if you're not playing there, you should be. Check it out. Take advantage of all the overlay and the offers that we have here. All right, on the other side of the Pistons game, they're playing against the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Bucks currently have Khris Middleton listed as questionable. It's not an injury, it's personal reasons. But with that said, I don't think they're going to need Khris Middleton in this game. Well, obviously, most teams don't need all their top players in order to beat the Detroit Pistons. But with Middleton being questionable, I kind of lean towards thinking he's more likely to sit than play because of the matchup. If he does end up being out, who benefits the most from Milwaukee?
I think Drew Holiday benefits the most, but I'm not even sure that it's super DFS relevant, because Holiday's already priced up from the games where Middleton and Giannis were out before. Since last year, in games where Middleton has missed and Giannis has played, Holiday has about a 27% usage rate. He's averaged about 1.1 DraftKings points per minute. I'm just not even sure if that level of production really makes him a priority on this slate. I don't really think that it does. As far as the other options, you're likely to get more playing time from Grayson Allen. He started and played 30.8 minutes last game without Middleton. Pat Connaughton joined the starting lineup. He played about 30 minutes as well. So both of those guys look a little bit better, but you're also likely to see Jordan Nwora thrown into the rotation, where not that it's going to make Nwora a useful DFS option, but it's still going to make it so the guys like Allen and Connaughton probably play around 30 minutes as opposed to playing, substantially more.
Next, we get to the Portland Trailblazers, who are probably the most shorthanded team that we have on this particular slate. Damian Lillard is out, still dealing with that abdominal issue that's been bothering him the entire season. Yusuf Nurkic, he's in the COVID protocols. There's still a chance he tests in, but it's apparently unlikely he's going to play. He's listed as doubtful for today. Sajan McCollum is still out with his lung injury. Then you got other guys like Brandon Williams, Cameron McGriff are both out. Cody Zeller, he's doubtful because he's in the COVID protocols. With all these guys out for Portland, who's going to take on the usage, and how do they fill the front court minutes?
So Norman Powell, I think, is the most likely candidate to lead the team in usage. He's played a little over 100 minutes since the start of last season without Nurkic, McCollum, or Lillard on the floor. He has about a 30% usage rate, and he's going to play a lot of minutes as well. But you're also going to obviously see an uptick in playing time for guys like Dennis Smith Jr. and Anthony Simons. They both look like solid values on DraftKings. Simons in particular stands out at 4,100. Not sure if which of them starts or if they both start, but there should be plenty of minutes available anyway. In the front court, I expect to see more of Larry Nance Jr. I think there's plenty of minutes available for Nas Little, and then potentially for Robert Covington in his return as well. So just a lot of relatively inexpensive pieces to get here. But I think that the guards, Smith and Simons, are probably the biggest beneficiaries in terms of playing time. And then Norman Powell should be the biggest beneficiary in terms of usage.
The final piece of news to hit on for us today, it is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Karl-Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, they are both not expected to play today. So we haven't seen any massive fantasy games from Anthony Edwards, but I still think the potential is there with these guys out. There's a lot of players to pay up for today, a lot of pieces with guys in or out. Where does Anthony Edwards fit in for you as potential pay up options?
I think he looks very good still at 7,700. Like you said, we haven't seen a massive game from him, but he's gonna get shots up. That's what he does. He's got an upper 30s usage percentage without Russell and Towns on the floor, and he played 38 minutes in their last game last night. So that is, I think, reason for optimism concerning his playing time, because that was only his second game back from a COVID absence. So him getting back to 38 minutes makes me feel pretty confident that he's going to play a lot, and you can typically count on him to shoot a lot.
Well, that is going to do it for us. If anything changes, guys, which it's going to, pretty big slate, 10 games, there's going to be players added to the injury report, taken off. Leave us a comment below, ask a question. I'll be sure to answer later in the day. Also, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and good luck today.